So here's Ramsay's Ferrari.
I got the next one, Jack.
Cool. Here's Ramsay's Ferrari. And we're going to take Snowman out of there and put Ram in there.
I'm good.
See that? What are you doing, bud? He says, I'm doing nothing. I'm not doing anything wrong.
Yet.
Yes. Okay. And where's Rammy? We're ready for the Rammy boy. Oh, he might be my dad.
These guys are just gonna have more fun than anything with this stuff. What's going on, Kira? What, honey? Oh, poor Bonnie. She says, "Where's my thing?"
You have to go potty.
Poor Bonnie don't know where to go, Jackie.
Ponia? Oh.
She's lost her thing.
Gotta go.
Okay.
Here, we'll just take this one.
Do you have them?
We'll take that one.
I don't know which one. 2 dozen plus our weight.
Then she can sit
Okay.
there.
Did you get more this morning? Oh, they aren't up yet, are they?
Yeah.
Here you go, Bonnie. Come on, baby girl. Come on.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
acting lost before.
So, like all good racers, Ramsay potty before he starts his race. Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
I'm so sick of saying
Yeah, don't worry about it. How about when we're done with this story, do you think you could feed him
Oh, yeah.
and his little egg?
Yeah, I can do that, Jackie.
Okay.
I can't do a whole lot, but I can do that.
Okay. One book coming up.
Agenda.
Bible.
So,
No milk?
that you might want to check. So on this one, we're going to do our Christmas story. And this is by Cindy G. And then we're going to read our donator names, which I thought was out here. Donna's got those. And then right after this, then it'll probably be 10:40 and my adoption will be here. So Lynette and I are going to share the story. The back side, she made this just for us for today. Isn't that awesome? It's Christmas time once again, and the FFRC residents want to do something special this year. These cats are always up to something. They decide to fly to the North Pole to help Santa as a way to show their appreciation for what others do for them. Join Rachel and Magic and all the residents along with their flight instructor, Captain Jones again, as they fly to the North Pole on Christmas Eve. It's a night filled with lots of joy and the Christmas spirit. They even bring Ramsay's Ferrari. He wants to help Santa deliver gifts. Yay, rah! Will his Ferrari really fly? Come along on this journey as they wrap gifts and fill Santa's sleigh. It's an adventure they will never forget. So this is written by Cindy G. Can you hear her purr? I feel.
What you doing, Rammy? Whoa!
Roll! Oh, hold the sides of the sleigh up. Did he get that ribbon down?
He's getting wild. He's doing wild things.
You're a little
He's
wild,
all
boy.
excited.
Since I'm in my Ferrari, I'm allowed.
He says, I'm ready for the North Pole.
So it's FFRC Goes to the North Pole by Cindy. It is that time of year again. The holidays are upon us. It is time for Christmas trees, mistletoe, and Santa Claus. It is the season for giving, and it is also the residents' favorite time of the year. This year, they will want to do something different, yet something special. Could it be another Christmas party? Let's just sit back and see what special idea they come up with. I think we will all agree that no matter what, it will be of the Christmas spirit. It was a cold December morning, and Zelda was sitting on the counter just watching the others, and she had a thought. Why not do something different for Christmas this year? She jumped off the counter and sat next to Rachel on his rug. Are you sleeping, D-Man? She asked. No, I am just laying here thinking about all the yummy treats this time of year, and it's making me hungry, he said. What's on your mind? He asked. I think we should do something special this year for Christmas, she said. Like what? Asked Rachel. I'm not sure, so let's gather everybody and see what we can come up with, she said. Great idea, he said. They gathered the other residents, and Zelda shared her thoughts. I was thinking, every year, all of our FFRC supporters make our Christmas the most amazing ever. But I think Hania wants a Hania flight. Every year, all of our FFRC supporters make our Christmas the most amazing ever. But I think we should give something back to them to show our appreciation. Does anyone have any ideas? She asked. So she's thinking about you guys out there. Suddenly, Vernon spoke up. I have an idea, he shouted. Let's go visit Santa at the North Pole and help him with Christmas this year. They all just looked at each other confused. Have you been hitting the catnip again, Vern? Asked Hensley. It's not like we can just hop on a plane and fly there, he said. Or can we, said Magic. Rachel and I are certified pilots. What do you think, D-Man? Asked Magic. I think you have been hitting the catnip too. Are you out of your mind? Asked Rachel. Hey, that's a great idea, they all shouted. Hold it 1 minute, said Rachel. First, we don't have a plane, and second, well, we are waiting, said Magic. Second, darn it, I can't think of a second reason, said Rachel. Go ahead, Magic, what's your idea? He asked. As I was saying, I could call Captain Jones, our flight instructor, and ask to borrow a plane, and maybe he will come along for the ride. D-Man, you could write a letter to Santa and let him know we would like to come and visit and help, said Magic. Ramsay got excited and offered to bring his Ferrari so he could help deliver gifts on Christmas Eve. Spiker shook his head and said, You can't bring a Ferrari to the North Pole, Rambo. It will get stuck in the snow. It doesn't have four-wheel drive. It doesn't need four-wheel drive, Spiker, because it can fly just like Santa's sleigh, said Ramsay. Spiker just looked at him and shook his head. There was a lot of chatter going on back and forth amongst them. It sure sounded like a great idea, but could they make it happen? Magic and Zelda climbed on the counter. Attention, attention everyone, he said. I know this idea seems a bit crazy, but I think it is worth a shot. All in favor, raise your paws. Instantly, paws went up and Ramsay had all four of his waving in the air. Okay then, I will make a call to Captain Jones, and to Rachel, you can write the letter to Santa, said Magic. What if he doesn't respond? Asked Rachel. Well, we will still go. The letter is just a heads up to let him know we are coming. We have some work to do, so let's get busy, said Magic. Asha spoke up and asked, shouldn't we ask Mama Jackie? Everybody stopped in their tracks and looked at each other. Zelda responded by saying, Christmas is a magical time of year and anything can happen. It will be our little secret, she said. Everyone just grinned and nodded. Shortly after, Magic headed over to call Captain Jones and Rachel went to Mama Jackie's office to write his letter to Santa. Magic picked up Lynette's phone and dialed Defiance Memorial Airport. Ring, ring. Don't get my earrings today. Good afternoon, Defiance Memorial Airport. How may I direct your call? Hello, can I please speak to Captain Jones? May I ask who is calling? Asked the agent. This is Magic from FFRC in Defiance. Thank you, sir. Please hold. He waited on hold while Christmas music played in the background. A few minutes later, Captain Jones answered. Well, hello, Magic, and how are you, my friend? It is good to hear from you, said the captain. I am doing fantastic, said Magic. What can I do for you, asked the captain. I was wondering if we could borrow a plane. May I ask where you are going? The North Pole to help Santa, he said. Really, said the captain, all surprised. We would also like to invite you to come along for the ride. Please, we would feel more comfortable if you came with us, just in case. I would love to, he said. We will leave in the afternoon on Christmas Eve and be back before you know it, said Magic. Count me in, said the captain. Thank you, and we will be in touch. Bye. He hung up the phone and went to see Rachel in Mama Jackie's office. It's all set, D-Man. Wow, that's awesome. I can't believe he's letting us borrow a plane, said Rachel. Is the captain coming with us, he asked. He sure is, and he sounded pretty excited, said Magic. How is the letter coming along? Great. I am almost finished. I just have to sign my name, said Rachel. What did you write, he asked. Rachel cleared his throat.
In the meantime, the girls were discussing what outfits they were going to wear when they visit the North Pole. Lucy and Alma suggested something warm because it's very cold in the North Pole. Marilyn wanted to look special for Vernon, so she asked Coralie to do her fur and nails. I don't know about that, said Coralie. It is very cold in the North Pole. I think we should dress warm. Pontiac suggested they all wear one-piece zip-up snowsuits. It may not be stylish, but it sure would be practical, she said. That's a great idea, said Kiera. We should make sure that we are all dressed warmly. Zelda took charge and went over to Mama Jackie's computer. She signed on to Amazon and searched for the warmest snowsuits she could find. Canby wandered over and helped her pick them out. We should keep it simple and just get blue ones for the boys and pink ones for the girls, said Zelda. Great idea, said Canby. She placed the order and it said they should arrive in a few days. Later that evening, after dinner, the residents sat and talked about their plans. Horatio gave an update on the letter he wrote to Santa, while Zelda told everyone she and Canby ordered the warmest snowsuits they could find. Magic couldn't wait to tell everybody that he was able to borrow a plane and that Captain Jones would be coming with them to the North Pole. Do you guys remember how to fly the plane? Asked Vernon. Ha ha! Very funny, Vern. Of course we remember how to fly the plane. Should we drop you over Canada so you can parachute to visit Auntie Sonia? Asked Magic. Very funny, said Vernon. They all laughed, and at the thought of him falling through the sky wearing a parachute, we will continue to decorate and enjoy Christmas here, and then on Christmas Eve, we head to the North Pole. This will be our little secret, said Magic. I'd better go winterize my Ferrari, said Ramsay. I hear it can get mighty cold up there.
Do you want to read the Santa letter?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is the Santa letter that Horatio wrote. Dear Santa, this is your best buddies, Horatio and the gang from FFRC. We are writing to let you know that we are coming to the North Pole this year to help you with Christmas. Every year, our wonderful supporters make our Christmas the best ever, and we wanted to do something nice for you. By the way, do you have a lot of snow? Because Ramsay wants to bring his Ferrari to help out. We will be arriving on Christmas Eve to help you deliver gifts. It was because of a wonderful birthday gift that I received that makes this trip possible. We are very excited and will see you on December 24th. Love, Rachel and the gang. Please save us some cookies and cocoa. The next morning after breakfast, Ramsay asked Hensley and Spiker to help him with his car. Are you serious about bringing your Ferrari? Asked Hensley. I sure am, said Ramsay. It's super fast, so I can help deliver gifts in a flash. I think Santa can handle the deliveries. He has a special sleigh, said Spiker. Is your Ferrari going to fit on the plane? Asked Hensley. You should ask Draco and Magic if you can bring it. A few minutes later, Draco went and sat on his rug, so Ramsay wiggled his way over to him. Hey, D-Man, he said. Hi, Rambo, what's up? Is there enough room on the plane for my car? He asked. I think so. It will have to go underneath in the cargo area. It's very spacious, said Draco. Do you really want to bring your Ferrari? He asked. Absolutely. I want to help Santa deliver gifts. It will be a blast, said Ramsay. I will have it all decorated with Christmas lights just for the occasion. Just then Spiker walked by and Ramsay told him it was okay to bring his Ferrari. I'll meet you and Hensley out in the barn. He climbed in it and drove it outside. When we got to the barn, he saw Walter pulling out all the Christmas decorations. Hey, Walter, how are you doing? Asked Ramsay. Hi, Rambo. Nice wheels, he said. What you doing out here? He asked. I need to winterize my Ferrari, and I need to beef it up a bit. I need to change the tires, put in a heater, and decorate it with Christmas lights. Walter looked at him funny and asked, Where are you going, to the North Pole? Ramsay just looked at him and grinned. Either it was a lucky guess or Walter was just joking. Need a hand? He asked. Sure, can you change the tires while I put the heater in? No problem, said Walter. Ramsay climbed in and crawled under the dash. He disconnected the wires and attached the heater and then reconnected them. He started the engine and turned the heater on full blast. I feel that nice toasty hot air. This will definitely keep my feet warm. A few minutes later, Spiker and Hensley came out to help. But all that was left to do was decorate the Ferrari with Christmas lights. They grabbed a string of lights and plugged them in to make sure they all work and then attached them up and down the length of the car and around the windshield. Hensley attached a pair of deer antlers to the front bumper along with a large red reindeer nose while Spiker installed a horn that played cute Christmas music. When you pressed it, it played different songs. Ramsay pressed it and it started playing Trans-Siberian Orchestra's Christmas Eve. Sarabi?
Oh. Yeah, sounds good.
That song got his adrenaline pumping. I think this baby is ready to fly. Fly where? Asked Walter. The North Pole, said Ramsay. Spiker and Hensley looked up at him like he had just blew the secret. Keep dreaming, Rambo. If you're going to the North Pole, then I'm flying to the moon, said Walter. He walked away laughing. Thanks for all your help, Walter, he shouted. Shoot, that was a close one, Spiker. Let's go get a snack. I'm hungry, said Hensley. They went back inside and didn't speak another word about the North Pole for the rest of the day. Meanwhile, Draco and Magic were trying to figure out how they were going to get to the airport. The way I see it, we have two choices, says Magic. We either take Mama Jackie's truck, or we can ask Captain Jones to come get us. I can call and ask him, said Magic. Later that afternoon, they started making plans to decorate the rescue center. At the end of the week, it will be partway into December, so it was time for Christmas to go into full swing. The girls were in charge of putting candles in the windows and hanging the holly, wreaths, and Christmas stockings. The boys were in charge of putting up the Christmas tree and hanging lights around the center, while Vern, he was in charge of hanging the mistletoe. On Saturday, they would ask the volunteers to bring all the decorations that Walter pulled out up to the main area. They would have a Christmas decorating party like last year, complete with music, hot chocolate, and yummy homemade cookies. The sounds and smells of Christmas will soon fill the air. When Saturday came, they eagerly asked the volunteers to get the decorations for them. They turned on some Christmas music and proceeded to decorate every room in the rescue center. The boys put up the Christmas tree. It was quite funny watching Draco trying to put out the lights. He walked around and around the tree until he fell over. Do you need a little help, D-Man? Asked Hensley. No, I think I got it, said Draco. Hensley stepped back and said, The lights are all on wrong. You wrapped them all around the bottom. Magic saw that they needed help and zoomed over. He climbed up on the table and helped and had Spiker, Hensley, and D-Man spread out all around the tree. He started at the top and then handed the lights to one of them, and they continued passing them around until the whole tree was top to bottom was covered in lights. If you are wondering where Vernon is, he is on mistletoe duty. By the time he is finished, he will be showered with kisses from every corner of the main area. As for Ramsay, he is having fun decorating the couch with lights. He really gets into it. He usually has more lights wrapped around him than the couch. Coralie, Asha, and Pania were putting candles in every window, while Marilyn, Kira, and Camby hung a wreath on every door. To complete the decorating, Zelda, Lucy, and Alma hung all the stockings. Then they put some in Patty's place, some in Thumper's room, and the rest in Kitty Cabana in the main area. They worked together to be sure every room was decorated. In keeping the tradition, Magic headed over to Mama Jackie's office, where he decorated her desk and chair with lights. When he plugged them in, they illuminated the room beautifully. She's going to shine like the North Star. To end their day, they gathered in the Kitty Cabana to watch Christmas movies together.
They put all of the couches, beds, pillows, and blankets in the middle of the floor and watched the Polar Express. They munched on a couple jars of Snackers and what was left of the homemade cookies as they lay cuddling with their blankies. When the movie ended, they fell fast asleep. The next morning, Mama Jackie came downstairs and she didn't see any of the residents. I wonder where all my kids are. She went into the Kitty Cabana and found them all piled together fast asleep. She smiled and headed out front to make breakfast. When they awoke, they realized it was already morning. We should do that more often, said Coralie. It was fun. They wandered out one by one to get something to eat. DeRachel told her that after they decorated the rescue center, they all gathered to watch a movie and fell asleep. Mama Jackie thought the center looked awesome. You did a wonderful job decorating, she said. And a little while later, Vern wandered over to Mama Jackie and wanted uppies. He likes to sit on the counter and watch her make breakfast. I guess it makes him feel like he's helping Zelda supervise. After breakfast, some of the residents sat in the main area and enjoyed the Christmas decorations, while Lucy talked with DeRachel about how they would get to the airport on Christmas Eve. No worries, he said. Magic and I have a couple of ideas. Suddenly, Magic zoomed from around the corner. Did I hear my name, he asked. Sure did, said DeRachel. Lucy and I were just talking about how we are going to get to the airport. We have two options, said Magic. We can either borrow Mama Jackie's truck or I can call Captain Jones to come pick us up. DeRachel, please remind me to give him a call later. Sure thing, Magic. If he is willing to pick us up, make sure he brings a truck so we can bring Ramsay's Ferrari, said DeRachel. Magic looked over and saw the car all decked out with Christmas lights, antlers, and a red reindeer nose. Wow, he's serious, said Magic. Sure is. It even has a horn that plays Christmas music, DeRachel said. Gotta give the little guy credit. He sure has the Christmas spirit, said Magic. As the day wore on, Vernon was using the mistletoe to his advantage. Hey, Marilyn, want to come sit next to me, he asked. Marilyn looked around the rescue center and noticed that he put mistletoe everywhere. There was no escaping it. She walked over to him and said, Oh, Vernon, you are one sneaky little guy. He smirked and put his arms around her. Pucker up, he said. Behave. We can have cuddle time later, she said. Just then, Debbie, one of the volunteers, arrived, and Vern quickly walked over to her. She bent down, picked him up, and wouldn't you know it, they were standing underneath some mistletoe. She gave him a hug and a kiss and put him down. He sat off to the side as if to wait for his next victim to come walking through the door. Throughout the day, he was showered with hugs and kisses from everyone who walked by. Sounds like Vernon, doesn't it? Later that afternoon, DeRachel reminded Magic to call Captain Jones. Magic immediately went to Lynette's office and picked up the phone. He dialed the number that Captain Jones gave him. Ring, ring. Hello, this is Captain Jones. Hi, Captain, this is Magic. Hi, Magic, how are you, my friend? I was wondering if you could pick us up on Christmas Eve. Wouldn't you rather have Mama Jackie drop you off instead? Asked the captain. Yes and no. I mean, well, she kind of doesn't know we are taking this little trip, said Magic. Ah, I see, said the captain. Sure, I can pick you up, he said. We also need a favor. Could you possibly bring a pickup truck so we can bring Ramsay's Ferrari? Ferrari? Said the captain, all surprised. Yes, Ramsay wants to help Santa deliver gifts, so he has it all decked out for Christmas. The captain chuckled and said, isn't Ramsay the little guy you called Rambo? That's him, said Magic. I would be happy to, said the captain. Please pick us up on Christmas Eve around 3:30, said Magic. Oh, and this is our little secret, he said. Got it. I won't say a word, said the captain. See you on Christmas Eve. Bye. He hung up the phone and went to tell DeRachel that the plans were all set. The captain is going to pick us up around 3:30, so we need to be ready to go. DeRachel was excited that they were going to get to fly to the North Pole and that they get to fly a plane again. This is going to be a blast, said DeRachel. Alma was sitting in her bed and overheard them talking. Hey, D-Man, I have a question, she said. What's your question, he asked. Won't someone notice that we are gone? DeRachel and Magic thought about it and said, you know, Christmas is a magical time of year, and that wonderful things can happen, said DeRachel. Magic continued by saying, it's as if time stands still for a bit on Christmas Eve. Santa delivers gifts all over the world in the blink of an eye, and yet it's as if time blips. Yet no one will notice. Alma looked at them all puzzled. On Christmas Eve, while we are at the North Pole, the magic of Christmas will take over for a short period of time. No one will even know we are gone. Okay, because if Mama Jackie finds out, we will be getting coal in our stockings, and we will never get another snacker or lickable again, said Alma. DeRachel's eyes lit up. He didn't like that idea of no more snackers. Magic reassured them that there was nothing to worry about and Santa would be in control. The next day, the girls were having a spa day. They were getting their nails and fur done by Coralie. They all wanted pretty red bows around their necks because they were going to have their pictures taken later that day. Mama Jackie and Auntie Donna had a small studio area set up that was all decorated for Christmas with music softly playing in the background, and each resident would have their picture taken. It was something they liked to do every year, but this year the residents wanted to do something different. The girls wanted their picture taken together after being made beautiful by Coralie. Remember, Coralie is a cosmetologist. Vernon wanted his picture taken with his girl Marilyn underneath some mistletoe. DeRachel and Magic wanted to wear their pilot wing pins in their picture, while Spiker wanted his picture taken with his monster truck that was painted with a Christmas scene, and Ramsay wanted his picture taken with his decked out Ferrari. Hensley, also known as Professor Hensley, wanted his picture taken with beautiful red and white paper Christmas flowers that he had made special for Denise and Mary. I think the idea was for each of them to pose with a few of their favorite things, just like the Christmas song says. We can't forget Janie the cat dog. She wanted her picture taken with Boom Boom, so Mama Jackie had to put a picture of her next to Janie to capture that special moment. Each picture would be unique to them. It was adorable watching the residents pose. Afterwards, they had a Christmas party. Mama Jackie made them a special Christmas meal complete with turkey, ham, and lots of gravy. To top off the feast, she would sprinkle each plate with lots of snackers for that yummy crunch. When they were finished with their meal, they wanted to play a game, so they gathered in the main area and formed a circle. They all looked at each other, and Pania asked, "What game are we going to play?" Zelda suggested, "How about we play a game called Team Gift Wrapping?" "How do you play?" they asked. "First you break into teams of 2. I will be the judge," said Zelda. Each team grabs a toy, and the object of the game and the object of the game
The object of the game is to see who can wrap their toy the fastest, using one paw. While everybody split up into teams and searched for a toy to wrap, Zelda passed out wrapping paper, scissors, and tape. When each team was ready, they gathered back on the rugs. Horatio panicked when he realized he had to use tape. The teams are Horatio and Magic, Asha and Hensley, Coralie and Kira, Canby and Pania, Ramsay and Lucy, Spiker and Alma, and finally Marilyn and Vernon. They were all pretty smart in selecting the toy to wrap. Some thought it would be easier to wrap something large, while others thought wrapping something smaller would be easier. Zelda stood on the counter wearing a Santa hat. "Is everybody ready? I will keep watch to see who is first," and so on. "On your mark, get set, wrap." Team members each put a paw behind their back and proceeded to wrap their toy. Asha and Hensley had an advantage because Asha was a master at having 3 legs and Hensley was the professor of paperology. But they didn't guarantee that they would win. Zelda walked around and watching as the teams attempting to wrap their toy. It was a hoot. Paper was flying everywhere. Magic was having a rough time because Horatio wouldn't touch the tape. Marilyn was also having a tough time because, well, Vern thought it was cuddle time. Coralie was obviously a whiz with scissors since she was a cosmetologist. She and Kira had a system down. Ramsay and Lucy were just having a great time bouncing around, and somehow Lucy managed to wrap Ramsay's foot by mistake. Pania and Canby were doing great. Pania is very good at sensing where everything is, and she and Canby worked very well together. The final team is Alma and Spiker. They were just having a blast and didn't care if they won, but overall they were doing very well. As Zelda walked around, she also noticed some of them had more tape on them than what was on their wrapping. It looks like Coralie and Kira was almost finished, following closely by Asha and Hensley, and next Alma and Spiker. Poor Magic, he spent most of his time trying to get Horatio to pick up the tape, so he basically worked all by himself. Suddenly, Zelda shouted, "We have a winner! Coralie and Kiera! Let's give them a round of applause." Ashley and Hensley were second, followed by Alma and Spiker. Horatio was just relieved it was over. "You did an awesome job, Magic," he said. Magic just looked at him and said, "It wouldn't have been nice if I would have had some help from little D-Man." "You should all be proud of yourselves," said Zelda. "It was all about teamwork and helping each other out." Just then, Spiker noticed a large lump of paper on the floor. It was moving. "What is that?" asked Spiker. Is it the ghost of Christmas past?" asked Canby. Seconds later, Ramsay popped through the paper and yelled, "Merry Christmas!" Everyone laughed. It looks like Lucy wrapped him instead of the toy. What a gift. That was fun, they said. To wind down the evening, they grabbed a snack and watched Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer to get all together in the kitty cabana. As they watched, they wondered what it would be like when they go to the North Pole on Christmas Eve. It was getting closer to Christmas, and the residents were getting very excited about flying to the North Pole. Horatio wondered if Santa ever received his letter. "Don't worry, D-Man. Santa knows we are coming," said Magic. "Let's have a quick meeting and go over the plan. Christmas Eve is a few days, so we need to let the others know the details." They gathered in Mama Jackie's office where it was more private. That's a laugh.
No, that's not so.
Tracy and Magic explained exactly what everyone was to do and to be ready for what Captain Jones came to pick them up. Magic told everyone that he found out Mama Jackie and Papa Steve were going to a family gathering around 3, so it all worked out perfectly. That Captain Jones was picking them up. We are leaving at 3:30, so be ready to go. Ramsay, please park your Ferrari outside where nobody can see it. Zelda, please leave all the snowsuits in the box once they arrive. We will put them in Ramsay's car. Mama Jackie will give us something to eat before she leaves. Any questions? Asked Magic. Nope, they replied. In the meantime, just act natural and enjoy Christmas. Over the next couple of days, they watched movies, sang karaoke, and had some yummy goodies as they anxiously awaited the arrival of Christmas Eve. It was quite funny listening to them sing Christmas carols. They even tried to sing the 12 Days of Christmas and changed it to things associated with FFRC. It went something like this. On the first day of Christmas, Mama Jackie gave to me a Bernie and a pear tree. On the second day of Christmas, Mama Jackie gave to me 2 airline pins and a Bernie and a pear tree. When they got to the 8th day, they sang, on the 8th day of Christmas, Mama Jackie gave to me 8 CH kitties. The whole song was a riot. They had a great time laughing and changing the words. Well, guys, it's getting late and I'm tired, said Horatio. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve, so we have a big day ahead of us. It was almost 10 o'clock, and Auntie Beth was the volunteer that night. She was getting ready to leave, so she made sure everything was in order and headed home. Once she left, they all started talking and giggling because they were so excited. Guys, shh, said Horatio. I know everybody is excited, but we need to get some sleep. Morning will be here before you know it. Good night, everybody. Good night, Horatio. Suddenly, Burns said, good night, Spiker. Then Spiker said, good night, Lucy. And Lucy said, good night, Pania. Pania said, good night to Coralie. They all busted out laughing. It was like a scene from the Waltons. They finally chilled out and fell asleep.
I might pass her over if she wiggles. It was finally Christmas Eve morning, and they woke up so excited. They gathered for their breakfast, and Rachel asked if anybody slept well. I sure did, said Spiker. Me too, said Pania. It's going to be busy here at the rescue center today. Mama Jackie, Papa Steve, and the volunteers all have plans tonight, so this is perfect, said Rachel. Magic went over to Ramsay and reminded him to put his Ferrari outside after lunch, and please put the box of snowsuits in it. You got it, he said. Take it easy and enjoy the day, everyone. We have a busy night ahead of us, said Magic. The rescue center was busy with cleaning and even an adoption. Kim was mopping the floor and rocking to the beat a sleigh ride by the Ronettes playing on the radio. The feel of Christmas was definitely in the air. Throughout the morning, some of the volunteers stopped by to drop off gifts and wish everybody a Merry Christmas. They even visited with the residents and gave them lots of toys and yummy treats. As the day wore on, things quieted down a bit at the rescue center, so it was time for the residents to get ready. Mama Jackie was going to feed them an early dinner since she had plans. She came to the main area and prepared them another yummy dinner of turkey and gravy. When they finished, she cleaned up and gave them all a hug and a kiss and said she would see them in the morning. Hensley went to the window in the kitty cabana and watched as they drove away. He came out and shouted, "They're gone!" Rachel spoke up and said, "Okay, everybody, Captain Jones will be here shortly, so please use the litter box before we go." Rachel and Magic put Ramsay, Alma, and Lucy up on the brown box and then slid it over to the litter box. They lowered them down one by one so they could do their business. I can just imagine that. Has everyone gone to the bathroom? Asked Rachel. Good to go, they shouted. Magic zoomed over to the main area door and waited for Captain Jones to arrive. A few minutes later, he pulled in and parked his truck by the door. Magic greeted him and said, "Merry Christmas, Captain Jones." "Merry Christmas, Magic." They went inside and gathered all the residents so he could get them into his truck. He carried them out 2 at a time and sat them in the back seat. When he picked up Ramsay, he asked him to put him in his Ferrari he had parked by the side of the rescue center, and he would drive it up into the back of the truck. "You got it," said the captain. He carried Ramsay outside and over to his car, and then took the box of snowsuits. "Give me a minute to pull out the ramps for you," said the captain. Ramsay started his Ferrari and pulled it into position. When they were ready, he drove it up the ramps and into the back of the truck. "Wow, Ram." "Great job," said the captain. He picked him up and placed him in the back seat with the others. "Everybody," you notice he doesn't let others drive his car. "Everybody ready?" he asked. "Yeah, let's go," they shouted. "Wait a minute, I forgot something," said Magic. He jumped out of the truck and went back inside. A few minutes later, he zoomed back out and climbed into the front seat. "What did you forget?" asked Rachel. He showed him the box that had their airline wing plane pins in them. "We can't fly without these," said Magic. "Awesome," said Rachel. Captain Jones started the truck and pulled out onto Power Dam Road, headed for the airport. While they were driving, they sang Christmas songs and talked about how much fun it was going to be. When they arrived at the airport, Captain Jones pulled up by the gate and said, "Stay here, I will be right back." He got out of the truck and opened the gate. A few minutes later, he returned driving a motorized cart. He loaded the snowsuits and all of them inside it, except Ramsay, and drove them over to the plane. He carried them up the stairs and put each of them in their own seat. Can't you imagine that? I just love this. "I have to go get Ramsay. I'll be right back," said the captain. To Rachel, "You and Magic can head into the cockpit." Captain Jones went quickly back down the stairs and drove over to his truck. He reached in the back seat and said, "Ready, Rambo?" Ramsay was so excited he couldn't keep still. He put him in his Ferrari and instructed him to drive it over to the back of the plane. In the meantime, Captain Jones went to park the truck. When he returned, Ramsay was waiting for him. He pulled out his walkie-talkie and contacted DeRachel in the cockpit. "DeRachel, this is the captain. Could you please lower the cargo area door?" 10-4, Captain." He flipped the switch on the control board and the cargo door lowered. The captain signaled for Ramsay to pull the Ferrari inside. He revved the engine and sped in. He parked it and the captain climbed inside to get him. He carried him out and up the stairs into the plane and gave him the seat of his choice. "Attention, may I have your attention, please?" said the captain. "I just want to say that I am touched that you invited me to come along with you to the North Pole. Amazing things can happen on Christmas Eve," as he winked at Alma. "I also have Santa's hats for all of you to wear, so help yourself. Above all, enjoy the flight and have a good time." They all cheered and grabbed a Santa hat to wear. "Please buckle up as we take off," said the captain. He smiled as he watched how excited they were about going to the North Pole to help Santa. It was such a sweet and giving gesture, and it was definitely of the Christmas spirit. He walked around and helped each of them put their seatbelts on and headed into the cockpit. Let me make sure our folks haven't contacted us yet. When the captain entered the cockpit, he handed to Rachel and Magic each a Santa hat. He smiled and said, "You will need these to put your wing pins on." DeRachel and Magic took the hats and attached their wing pins on them. DeRachel put his Santa hat and asked, "How do I look, Magic?" "Ready to fly," he responded. "Okay, boys, let's go." "I am here if you need me," said the captain. DeRachel and Magic buckled up and put their headphones on. They did their pre-flight check, and DeRachel contacted we know how this goes, don't we, from the other story. Contacted the control tower for clearance to take off. "Control, this is Flight 772 requesting clearance for takeoff." Control responded saying, "Taxi to runway 17 left via Alpha Bravo Delta. Cross runway 23. He taxied the plane in position, waited for clearance to take off. After a few moments, they received the all clear. "Flight 772 cleared for takeoff runway 17. Cleared for takeoff, runway 17, flight 772. He gave Magic the pause up signal and said, "Here we go." DeRachel slowly pulled back on the throttle. As the plane started moving, he put his paw on the yoke and watched his altimeter. And as he approached 80 knots, he pulled back on the yoke and raised the nose up off the ground. At 5,000 feet, Magic raised the landing gear and adjusted the flaps. DeRachel contacted the control tower. Control flight 772 is up and maintaining upward climb to our cruising altitude of 37 feet. Flight 772, hold and maintain upward climb heading 280 degrees. As they continued the upward climb, they hit some minor turbulence, so DeRachel checked the radar and adjusted his speed. See, they're pros already. He then flipped the switch on the intercom so he could alert the others on board and said, "This is DeRachel. Please remain in your seat until the seatbelt sign has been turned off. We are experiencing some minor turbulence. Once we reached our cruising altitude, you will be free to move about the cabin." The residents have never been on a plane, so it was a bit scary. They all sat quietly in their seats until they received the all clear. DeRachel continued the upward climb, but the plane was still a bit shaky, so he contacted control. "This is flight 772. We are experiencing some minor turbulence. Requesting flight path adjustment." Control responded. "Flight 772, maintain 217 knots and turn the aircraft to 250 degrees. Flight 772, maintaining 210 knots at 250 degrees. He and Magic continued to monitor the radar as they continued the upward climb as instructed. After several minutes, they broke through the cloud bank and leveled off at 37 feet. "Phew, we did it," Magic said to Rachel. "Great job, D-Man." It looked pretty clear ahead of them, so DeRachel turned off the seatbelt sign. Captain Jones sat behind them reading the paper. He wasn't worried at all. "Awesome job, guys," he said. "I'm going to check out our passengers and see how they are doing." He went out and saw they were sitting quietly in their seats. "It's time to take off your seatbelts and have some fun," said the captain. "Are we okay now?" asked Vernon, all scared. "Yes, we are great," said the captain. "There is no need to worry, my friend. DeRachel and Magic are doing terrific." They unbuckled their seatbelts and started to relax a bit. The captain turned on the big screen TV so they could watch a Christmas concert. They were having a great time singing and dancing in the aisles and their seats. He watched as they enjoyed themselves. Then it's going to take over the book. I'm going to go run and do my adoption. And I might have to finish that story in the bathtub tonight. All right, Courtney, you stay there and wait for me.
After several minutes, they broke through in the cloud bank and leveled off at 37,000 feet. "We did it, Magic," said DeRachel. "Great job, D-Man." It looked pretty clear ahead of them, so DeRachel turned off the seatbelt sign. It was pretty... Captain Jones sat behind them reading the paper. She might have just read this. Did you finish this one?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. Partway into the flight, Magic made an announcement over the intercom that if you looked outside, it was lightly snowing. All the residents looked out the windows. "Whoa, it's snowing," said Alma. "We're flying in the snow just like Santa," said Lucy. Captain Jones went up to the cockpit to make sure that DeRachel and Magic were doing all right. "How's it going, boys?" he asked. "It's going great," said DeRachel. Magic watched the radar and said, "We are flying through a small snow squall. We should be out of it momentarily." All in all, it was a pretty quiet up in the sky, so DeRachel contacted control. "This is flight 772. Hey, how's the weather in the North Pole?" Control responded. "Flight 772, the temperature is minus 20 degrees with light snow showers." "Roger that." As DeRachel looked out the window, he noticed a strange fog up ahead. "Hey, Magic, what is that?" he asked. "That is where the magic of Christmas takes place," he said. "This is where time stands still." But nobody noticed. It's what they call the North Pole Vortex, and it only happens on Christmas Eve. That's interesting, said Horatio. As soon as we cross it, we will be approaching the North Pole.
Pretty good.
Just then Captain Jones spoke up and said, it's kind of like the Bermuda Triangle, except you don't disappear. It's another one of those unexplained phenomenons. They watched as they approached the strange fog.
Okay.
Whoa, that's cool, said Horatio. Welcome to the North Pole, boys. Prepare to begin our descent, said Captain. So when they say that Christmas is a magical time of year, that's the truth, said Horatio. Absolutely, but it is especially true when people do for each other. It's not only that we receive, but that we give to others that's important. Christmas brings out the best in everyone, and that's what makes it not only magical, but it's the true spirit of Christmas. I couldn't have said it better myself, said the captain. I'm going to go check on our passengers and get them buckled up so we can land. He went out front and found them sitting in front of the television watching a Christmas concert. It is time for us to begin our descent, so you need to sit in your seats and buckle up, said Captain. Wow, already? It feels like we just left home, said Marilyn. They jumped in their seats and buckled up. The captain assisted those who needed help and make sure they were all buckled up. Are we going to need a parachute, said Vernon. The captain laughed and said, no need to worry. We will land just fine. He sat out with the residents as Horatio and Magic started descending. Up in the cockpit, Horatio adjusted his airspeed and altitude as he started descending 1,500 feet per minute and then reduced power. He then contacted Control to request clearance to land. Control, this is Flight 772 requesting clearance to land. Flight 772, turn right, heading 230. Cleared ILS runway onto North Pole. Maintain 10,000 feet until established. He made a shallow banked right turn, heading 230. When he was in final approach, Magic adjusted the flaps to full as Horatio adjusted the pitch and power to maintain decent altitude and airspeed. When they reached 5,000 feet, Magic lowered the landing gear. Flight 772 cleared to land runway. Cleared to runway 1 Flight 772. Check it out, Magic. They have red and green lights, landing lights. Come on, D. Make this a great landing, said Magic. Flight 772 has landed. Roger, Flight 772. Bundle up, it's cold out there, and Merry Christmas. Thanks, and Merry Christmas to you too, he said. Horatio and Magic unbuckled their seatbelts and went to join the others. Great job, guys. You did an awesome job. All the residents congratulated them on a smooth flight. Magic stepped forward and said, please see Coralie and Kiera for your snowsuits. Please do not exit the aircraft without having it on. It is mighty cold out there. They lined up and got their snowsuits. The captain helped them put them on. When it was time for Ramsay to put on his, he wouldn't sit still. He was so excited about driving his Ferrari in the snow. Hold still, Rambo, said the captain. I just need to zip you up. Is everybody all ready? Said Magic. Please form a line and we will help everyone off the plane. When the captain opened the doors, they were greeted by a team of elves who pushed the set of stairs lined with red and green lights up to the exit. All the residents looked out on awe. The captain carried them down 2 at a time and put them into a sleigh. He told the elves he had one more resident he needed to go get. He climbed the stairs and picked up Ramsay. Let's go get your Ferrari, he said. He carried them into the cockpit so he could flip the switch to open the cargo door and then went down the stairs and over to the cargo area. They went inside and the captain put him in his Ferrari. Ramsay started the engine and it revved to get it warm, and then he backed out and followed the sleigh. They arrived at a huge cabin which was no other than Santa's workshop. One of the elves walked over to the Ferrari and looked at it. Horatio spoke up and said Ramsay wanted to bring it so he could help Santa deliver gifts. He thinks it can fly. The elf smiled and winked. He then gave them a special wagon so they could put the residents they needed assistance into it, and mentioned for them to follow him. Are we going to meet Santa? Asked Zelda. They followed the elves inside where all the toys were made. Wow, look at all the toys. This place is amazing. When they were looking around, they didn't notice a gentleman standing by the door. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas, he said. Everyone spun around and shouted, It's Santa! Draco walked towards him and did you get my letter, Santa? Yes, I did, and it was so nice of you to come and help. He looked at all the residents and said, Who do we have here, Draco? And introduced Magic as his co-pilot, and then the others. This is his girl, Marilyn, and this is Coralie. Would you like to shave and a haircut, Santa? She asked. Ho, 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 he laughed. This is Lucy and Alma. Over here we have Spiker, Hensley, Canby, and Kiara. Who are these pretty little ladies here? He asked. This is Panya and Asha. Santa looked over and walked over to Ramsay, who was so excited he bounced around. Who, may I ask, is this little guy? This is Ramsay, Santa, but he likes to be called Rambo. Santa laughed. He brought his Ferrari because he thinks it can fly, and he wanted to help you deliver gifts. Santa bent down and said, Well, let's see what we can do about that, Rambo. Rambo's face lit up. Draco said, We have someone else to introduce to you. This is our great friend, Captain Jones, and it's because of him that we are here. He shook the captain's hand and said that this is quite an amazing bunch. They sure are, said the captain. Well, feel free to look around and play with the toys. I will have Mrs. Claus get us some cookies and cocoa before we begin. While they waited, they wandered around and around and looked at all the toys. Hensley picked up a dart gun and said, Hey, Vern, this is just like the one in your dream. Spiker played with a remote-controlled monster truck, and the girls checked out a few of their favorite toys. Zelda couldn't get over how many boxes there were. It was just like boxes at FFRC. Meanwhile, outside, some of the elves took Ramsay's Ferrari into a secret workshop. They were instructed by Santa to make it fly. They put it up on a lift and then attached a hitch to the front of it. The elves chuckled at the large red reindeer nose on the front grille. One of the elves made sure it lit up so he could see. I think this is ready to fly. They went back inside Santa's workshop and joined the others. Santa returned with a huge tray of cookies and cocoa for all to enjoy. Here's a snack to warm you up, said Santa. They all gathered around, and while they enjoyed a nice hot cup of cocoa, Lucy asked, What would you like us to do to help you, Santa? I need the last of the toys to be boxed and wrapped. I also need some help loading up the sleigh. Is everyone ready? We're ready, they shouted. Let's have the girls box and wrap the toys, and the boys can help stack the gifts so we can load up the sleigh. Draco was relieved because there was no way he wanted anything to do with tape. A couple of the elves brought the girls over to the boxing and wrapping area and showed them what they would be doing. We're on a tight schedule, so please do the best you can, said Santa. My sleigh leaves at midnight. The residents got into position and began to work. The girls formed an assembly line, each performing an operation. Coralie and Mara were at the end, so they were in charge of the wrapping. Meanwhile, the boys had their own plan. They put Ramsay in the wagon and loaded it up with wrapping gifts from the girls when they wheeled him over to the pallet. Vernon and Hensley formed a line across and Ramsay would use his feet to toss the gift to one of them in a line he would give them to Magic and Draco to stack on the pallet. The gifts were flying every which way. They stacked the pallet in 7 minutes. Santa was impressed. While it was all going well with the elves, while all of this was going on, the elves were preparing the sleigh. They draped a ginormous sack over the sleigh and then would pick up the loaded pallets with a mini forklift and drive it over the sleigh. Where was the captain, you ask? He was hanging out with Santa, just watching this amazing show of teamwork. It was now 11:20, and time was ticking by. There was still more to do to get the sleigh loaded, and the residents were working as fast as they could. How is everyone holding up? Asked Magic. Hinsey said, we're doing okay, but Ramsay has energy to burn. How many cookies did he eat? Horatio fell over a few times because the boxes were coming at him from all directions. Magic zoomed over to the girls and asked how they were doing. Kiara said, we are doing great, and we are almost finished. He went back over to where the boys were working, and they continued tossing and stacking gifts. A little later, the girls announced they were finished wrapping. It was perfect timing because it was almost time for Santa to leave. It was now 11:45, and Horatio shouted, done! The Owls picked up the last pallet and brought it over to the sleigh. They packed the last of the gifts inside the sack and tied it close. Phew, we made it, they shouted. Just then Stan stepped forward, all dressed in a Santa suit, and spoke to the residents. I want to give you a heartfelt and sincere thank you to all of you, the residents of FFRC and Captain Jones. It was the kindest gesture you could do for me and the others, and it reflects the true spirit of Christmas. I invite you to join me while I fly around the world delivering gifts to all. The elves and Captain Jones worked quickly to load the residents in the sleigh, while Santa walked over and picked up Ramsay. As for you, little guy, I have a surprise. He took Ramsay outside with the others, and parked next to Santa's sleigh was his Ferrari. Santa had two of his reindeer leading it, and on the back of the car was a bag loaded with gifts for FFRC. Captain Jones and the elves loaded all the residents into sleighs, while Santa himself placed Ramsay in his Ferrari. You will fly next to me, little guy. Your car really can fly, said Santa. Ramsay couldn't have been more excited. All of the other residents and the captain watched in awe as he started the engine. The Christmas lights on it lit up along with the reindeer nose in the front grille. He was ready to fly. It was now midnight, so Santa climbed into his sleigh and shouted, now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, O Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. And Santa's sleigh and Ramsay's Ferrari lifted up and flew off into the moonlight as flurries floated around the air. The residents held onto the slide, gliding through the air with Ramsay close by. He pressed the horn and said, Santa Claus is coming to town, started playing. Santa said, ho, 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 Merry Christmas. In the blink of the eye, they traveled all around the world, bringing gifts to all. At one point, Vernon wanted uppies, so Santa let him ride onto his shoulders while both Alma and Lucy got to steer the sleigh. With the excitement going on, nobody noticed they flew over FFRC, and the gifts that were in Ramsay's Ferrari were delivered. When all the gifts in the Santa sleigh was delivered, they headed back to the North Pole. They gathered back at Santa's workshop to warm up before they headed back to FFRC. Ho, ho, ho! Did everybody have a good time? Asked Santa. Horatio and Magic stepped forward but were speechless. They all stood silent for a minute, and then Magic spoke up. Santa, we want to thank you for allowing us to share Christmas Eve with you. It was the most amazing experience ever. We never expected you to take us along to deliver the gifts. Horatio interrupted by saying, when I received flying lessons as a birthday gift from FFRC supporters, I never dreamed it would bring us to the North Pole to help you, but that's what it is all about, giving back to others. We also want to thank Captain Jones for having us here with us to share this experience. Our hope is peace and love for all. Our Mama Jackie always says, no matter what is going on in people's lives, we should always be kind. She and the volunteers work harder taking care of us, so we want them to have the best Christmas ever. It is time for us to head back to FFRC, Santa, but we want to say a big heartful thank you for allowing us to spend this special night with you. Each of the residents came and gave Santa a hug. Santa walked over to Alma and Lucy and said, great job flying the sleigh, and gave them a hug. As Santa went over to Ramsay, he bent down, picked him up, and invited him to help him deliver gifts again. You have the true Christmas spirit, Rambo, and that he loved his Ferrari. Santa and the elves helped all the residents back on the plane. While the captain and Ramsay were on board, they closed the door and locked it. The residents lined the windows to say goodbye to Santa. Draco spoke into the intercom to ask the residents to please be seated and put on their seatbelts to prepare for takeoff. The residents waved from the windows and then took their seats to buckle up. Draco contacted the control tower and requested for clearance. There was only one runway here, so they shouldn't have to wait very long. Control, this is Flight 772, requesting clearance for takeoff. Flight 772, taxi into position, and hold on. He turned the plane around and taxied into position. While they waited, he and Magic talked about how just coming here was a gift. Draco said it was a gift because I received. It was because of a gift that I received that helped us to give gift to others. You're absolutely right, said Magic. It is about giving and helping others, no matter how big or how small.
The door to the cockpit opened and Captain Jones came in to sit with them during takeoff. What an awesome night, said the captain. Thank you for inviting me, he said. They smiled and didn't say another word. Moments later, Draco received clearance to take off. Flight 772, you are cleared for takeoff on runway 1. Cleared for takeoff on runway 1, flight 772. Draco slowly pulled back on the throttle, and as the plane started moving, he watched his altimeter, and as he approached 80 knots, he pulled back on the yoke and raised the nose up off the ground. As the plane continued its upward climb, Magic adjusted the flaps and raised the landing gear. Control, this is Flight 772. We are up and climbing to our cruising altitude of 37,000 feet. Flight 772, maintain upward climb heading 270. Maintaining upward climb heading 270, Flight 772. Meanwhile, out in the cabin area, the residents were sitting quietly, reflecting on the amazing adventure they had that night. Zelda said, this turned out to be better than I imagined. Yeah, I got to ride on Santa's shoulder, said Vern. We got to steer the sleigh, said Alma and Lucy. Well, we got to sit on Santa's lap, said Connie and Asha. We all had a special moment, said Coralie. How about you, Ramsay? You got to fly your Ferrari next to Santa, said Marilyn. He was speechless. He just smiled and bounced around but didn't say a word. I think he's in shock, said Spiker. Up in the cockpit, Draco leveled the plane off. Control, this is Flight 772. We have reached our cruising altitude. Roger, Flight 772. It looks like you have smooth sailing. Oh, and by the way, Flight 772, NORAD reported an unidentified flying object flying next to Santa's sleigh. Any idea what that was? Asked Control. Magic responded, saying it was a lucky group helping out Santa, and one of them got to fly next to Santa's sleigh. Come again, said Control. Yeah, it was a flying Ferrari, said Draco. Oh, I get it. You have no idea either, said the Control. It really was Santa's little helper, said Magic. Whatever you say, and have a good flight, said Control. The captain laughed at Draco and Magic's explanation, but it was true. If you boys are all set, I'm going to hang out with our passengers, said the captain. The flight was smooth and quiet. Magic alerted Draco that they were approaching the North Pole vortex soon, or the strange fog, as Draco called it. As soon as they passed through it, they would be back in Defiance in no time. The captain turned on the big screen TV so they could wind down from all the excitement. We should be home soon, he said. He helped them unbuckle their seatbelts so they could take off their snowsuits and get comfortable. He turned on a Christmas movie and watched as one by one they drifted off to sleep. He put his head back and dozed off. A little while later, Rachel came over the intercom and said they would begin their descent. Please take your seats and buckle your seatbelts. The captain woke up and looked around and saw that they were all still asleep, so he buckled their seatbelts for them. Aww. He went up to the cockpit and told Rachel and Magic that everyone was asleep. He sat behind them as they prepared to land. Rachel contacted the control tower. I think I'm getting pretty good at these call numbers now.
We can fly.
This is Flight 772 requesting clearance to land. Flight 772, turn left heading 230, cleared ILS runway 24 into Defiance. Turn left heading 230, cleared ILS runway 24, flight 772. He adjusted his airspeed and he descended, then reduced power. Rachel watched the gauges as the plane approached the runway. Flight 772, hold and maintain 7,000 feet until established. Maintain and hold 7,000 feet until established, Flight 772. He aligned with the runway and continued to descend. As he reached final approach, Magic adjusted the flaps to full and lowered the landing gear. Flight 772 cleared to land, runway 24. Cleared to land, runway 24, Flight 772. The main wheels touched down and then the nose wheel. He applied the brakes and slowed the plane down as he taxied to a stop. As the plane landed, the residents started to wake up. I think we're home, said Zelda. Come on, everybody, wake up, she shouted. Rachel, Magic, and the captain unstrapped their seatbelts and headed out to the cabin area to gather the residents. Rachel flipped the switch on the control board to open the cargo area as he exited the cockpit. We're back, said Magic. The captain opened the door and one of the baggage drivers drove a set of stairs over to the plane. The captain headed down the stairs and out the gate to get his truck. He drove it through the gate and up to the plane so he could load everyone into it from there. Last was Ramsay. He carried him down the stairs and over to the cargo area to get his Ferrari. Spiker and Magic set up the ramp so he could drive it up into the back of the truck. Once his Ferrari was in the truck, the captain picked Ramsay up and placed him in the back seat with the others. Alma looked at the clock in the truck and said, Hey, it's only 10 o'clock. I thought it was later than that, she said. That's the magic of Christmas and the North Pole, said Rachel. We should be home in time before anyone notices. A little while later, they pulled into the parking lot of FFRC. Magic looked around and said, Mama Jackie and Papa Steve aren't even home yet. The captain pulled up in front of the main area door and quickly carried them back inside. He went back out to get Ramsay so he could pull his Ferrari inside. He put him in his car and then lowered the ramps. Ramsay backed down and drove it over to the main area door. Magic held it open while he drove it inside and parked it. The captain came inside for a few minutes to say Merry Christmas. We'll just to say Merry Christmas and to say thank you for inviting him on such a magical trip. When they noticed that the Christmas tree was loaded with gifts, Canby picked one up and said, it said to FFRC from Santa. When was Santa here, she asked. That must have been the sack Ramsay had in his Ferrari. We flew right over FFRC and didn't even know it, said Magic. Whoa, that's cool, said Spiker. They said goodnight to Captain Jones and thanked him for coming with them. They each gave him a hug and said Merry Christmas. He gave to Rachel and Magic the thumbs up for a great flight and said, we will be in touch. We sure will, they said. He walked out to the main area door and got into his truck to leave. They were all exhausted, but what an awesome night it was. They climbed in their beds and fell asleep. When morning came, it was finally Christmas. Mama Jackie came downstairs to serve breakfast when she noticed the tree was loaded with gifts. What is all this? She asked. Rachel looked at her and said, they are from Santa. She bent down to pick one up and noticed the tag said to FFRC from Santa. The residents gathered around her and Zelda said, we helped Santa deliver gifts last night. and they delivered these presents to you and the volunteers." She looked at Zelda a bit baffled. "Yeah, and Ramsay's car flew just like Santa's sleigh," said Asha. She brushed it off as something from a movie they watched, but there was still the mystery of where the gifts came from. "Did you see anyone bring them last night?" she asked. "No, because we were with Santa," they replied. Magic looked at Mama Jackie and said, "I guess it's just one of those magical Christmas mysteries." As they checked out the gifts, Rachel walked over to the cam, looked up, and said, "Merry Christmas to Mama Jackie, Papa Steve, mods, admins, volunteers, and all of FFRC Nation. You deserve to have the best Christmas because you always make ours the best ever. Merry Christmas." And you all do. You all make our Christmas awesome for the kiddies. Yay, Cindy! And I just got an email, and I'm sorry, I'm usually don't like being on the phone when I'm doing stuff here, but I was waiting to hear back from Cindy, our author, and she said, Cindy says, "I have it all set. Books will be ordered. The Christmas to FFRC goes to the North Pole will be ordered. So we will have books to sell of that. Don't put your order in yet. Please wait till they come in. I'll give you the heads up, and then you can order those books, okay?"
Awesome.
Isn't that nice of her? She's really
Yes.
very, very amazing. Well, we better read our garland. Hey, girl, you break it down? Oh my goodness, those are a little baby too. Our Christmas cactus.
Can we start?
Yep.
Can you get a pick one?
I'll hold it, keep it out of the kitties.
Tabby Cat and Tween. Cat Dad 23 and Stitch's Cat. Grandma's Girl 1885. Carrie and Ken M. Heather H. Chris Tom. Bill and Angie. Mike C. And Cat Stock Founder. Michael, Michelle and Frank. Mission Vern. Mary D. Mary and Michelle. Nancy and Marlene, Nancy, and Nellie. Maple Lenny. Madison Pepper. Mac Cheese and
Mac
Doodles?
and cheese and doodles, Mama.
Mama, yeah. Eminem. Linda D. In North Carolina.
Oh, I think it did say that.
A Lurker, Kristen. Lucy S. Lois L. Lily.
This one?
Yep. And then you go this way.
Leo 2 Calf. Leo 2 Calf. Larissa B. Pooh Bear, Laura R. and Pooh Bear. Laura N. Conoco. K. Mergen. These are all familiar. Most of them are, aren't they? Kitty Whiskers, Kurzweil, Katie L, Kathy 3103, Ann Gilbert. Is that Kathy or Karen? And then we have a Karen, Anna Gilbert. Justin and Simone. Ju and G. That one's a repeat. Joy and Don D. And Joey 3100. So this is amazing. And you know what I've been thrilled about is, should we take those together? Is how many names are familiar to us, and yet how many names are new to us. And I've just been floating high on all of that. It's nice, so nice to run across our familiar folks that we've known for so long. And it's also awesome to have all of our new folks too. So we're gonna slide right into our 11 o'clock one. And by the way, the adoption for Jersey went awesome. Jersey, there's 3 kids. They're 12 and a half, they're triplets, and 2 boys and 1 girl, and they just love Jersey already, and Jersey was all over them. It was so, so sweet. So let us slide right into the next one, and our 11 o'clock one is our appreciation drawing for you viewers, and it's lots of items to draw because we are so thankful for you. So we're